estate pass you by with All Star Powerhouse.
This is the Plain English Real Estate Show with your host, Rowena Patton, a show that focuses on the real estate market in terms you can easily understand. Call Rowena now. The number is 240-9962 or 1-800-570-9962. Now here's the English girl in the mountains, the agent that I would trust, Rowena Patton.
Well, thank you for that lovely intro, Glenn. We're very excited today. We have Christina McIntosh from sunny Savannah joining us. She's our DivorceCPO.com expert. And first we have to say, rest in peace, Jimmy Buffett. I know you're a parrot head, Randy.
Definitely. Yes, it's a tragic morning. Yeah.
He lived a wonderful, long life and gave birth to an amazing empire of goodies and songs and restaurants. And Google him and find out all the things he's behind. We know some of the obvious ones, but it's such a long list, I can't even read them out. It's amazing.
Yeah. Great music for so many years. We still got the music, thank goodness.
Yeah. So rest in peace, Jimmy. Good morning, Christina. How are you? Thank you so much for breaking into your vacation to join us this morning.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, me too.
Good morning.
And you're in Sevierville, I believe, having a little vacation from where you operate in Savannah.
We are enjoying the beautiful weather.
Is it? Are you having
the beautiful
fun?
Mountains. We are. We're having a great time. Thanks for asking.
Well, I was thinking about you, Labor Day weekend in Sevierville. Oh, my goodness. We have people listening all over the country. Why don't you tell them what's in Sevierville?
A lot more than there was last time I was here, I'll tell you that. I was really surprised to see how much it's grown. It's been probably, 7-8 years since we were last here, and it has grown exponentially. So there's a lot to see and do. Of course, the mountain views have not changed, and they're always beautiful. That's what drives us here. So we're excited to be able to see that. And you get to live in this beautiful environment every day. But we had the ocean, and we do appreciate that. But It's so nice to be able to come and see the mountains.
Well, we actually love Savannah.
Not so much fun to drive through them, though.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's a little more challenging.
Once you get used to it, it's actually very fun. It's like, oh, now we're going down. Oh, now we're going up. It gets exciting. And
when my husband's driving, it's fun. When I'm driving, not so much. It's a lot more stressful. I definitely would prefer to be the passenger in the mountain rides for sure.
There you go. And I know that you deal with a lot of clients, as do I, as do all of the other rate agents, who are going through a divorce. It's one of those triggers for selling a house. So naturally, when people come to us to sell or buy, one of those triggers is sadly divorce. And you are our DivorceCPO.com expert for the whole Savannah area, basically. Did you deal with anybody in particular that drew you into that, or did you just have so many divorcing clients that you started to put your whole divorcing package together?
Unfortunately, the latter of the two. I think that for any of us who have worked in real estate for any period of time, we've dealt with that, and we've helped clients walk through that process. And, it's so different from one to the next. There are some who are on the back end of it, and things have already kind of worked out between the two of them, and it's very amicable, and it's just smooth sailing. And then there are others that are on the front end of that it's not as smooth, and it's still very much raw emotions and, lots of things that are going on that we have to help them through. So, yes, I because of the number of folks that were coming to us, especially out of COVID, that has picked up significantly, sadly. But, there are people who need our help, and we want to make sure that we are positioned and prepared to be able to help walk them through the stage of life and ultimately still get them the most they can for their home, but also help to guide them through the process in the meantime.
Yes, and we do have all kinds of packages which we'll get into that help people when they're going through a divorce, because we've learned from each progression in that. I know when I started in 2006, some of my first clients were a husband and wife in the midst of a divorce, and they owned a luxury home on over 100 acres, which they wanted to sell as part of their divorce agreement. So you can imagine how much that was going for. And at the time, I knew that I didn't have a whole lot of experience. I was a brand new agent. They both knew me and trusted me. And it was $6.9 million. At that time, in 2006, it was the most expensive listing on the MLS. It was also pretty remote, very few properties to compare it to. And, of course, they were divorcing. He'd already moved out to California. And, oh, my gosh, since that time, and stepping through some delicate conversations with divorcing clients as well as friends, it's just, the importance of developing that tried and true support team and process to assist those divorcing couples is absolutely paramount. I mean, it's a really tricky time, isn't it, Christina?
It really can be, for sure. And there are so many pieces that, aside from the real estate component, but there's family dynamics and there's personal dynamics and, so many things that go along with that, like you said, we want to be able to help them in every area as much as possible.
Absolutely. And so many people, when they're getting married, don't think about, it's so funny. I just realized it's like real estate. When you buy a house, I always think of the exit plan. Well, is this such an unusual house or in such an unusual area that if I think about selling it in 5 years or 10 years' time, is it going to be difficult? The getting married is kind of a similar thing. People go into it not thinking about an exit plan, quite rightly.
That's right. And
they, combine their monies. In fact, one of the main reasons for marriages failing is that people don't combine their bank accounts, even though, often you say, oh, we should have separate bank accounts and one joint account. Nothing wrong with that. But one of those factors where you don't combine your money is one of the factors that show those people are more likely to get divorced, which is pretty amazing. But, finances
That's
is
right.
obviously one of the biggest factors. And you mentioned COVID before. Do you think that people during COVID had more financial pressures, or maybe they were just stuck together at home because they couldn't leave?
I've seen both.
Yeah.
I've seen, many people to say both. Just the financial strain. Obviously, everyone felt that. But then there is the component of spending more time together than you ever have before. And, a lot of people just decided that they would change homes. They would move together, stay together, and find a new home that was more suitable and fitting for that time frame. And then others just decided this is the time that we've learned that we don't want to move forward together. And COVID changed a lot of lives in a lot of ways, but we definitely have seen more of our divorce clients come through that.
Yeah, I think it's the life is too short factor. We had COVID, we had friends. You're always hearing about people dying in the hospitals being full, and it scared a lot of people. And I think, people stuck at home have a lot of time on their hands to think about, is this the way I want to spend the rest of my life? So, the life is too short factor, I think, affected a lot of people in that. Of course, the family house is often the most valuable asset owned by the couple. They've got all these other things they're disentangling, the kids, the pets. I mean, have you ever seen battles over pets?
Absolutely. It seems like everyone involves
Yes.
a battle over the pets, and even joint custody with the pets.
Oh,
I think
my
that
goodness.
the longer you're in it, the more you see, and just when you think you've seen it all. But no, we haven't. But yes, very, very common.
Wait, you've seen joint custody with the pets?
I have.
Oh, my goodness. I
Yep.
haven't even seen that one.
And that was a situation where they didn't have children in the home. So the pets were their children.
Yeah.
And of course, both of them loved the pets equally and did not want to lose that relationship. So yes, they they were able to work through an agreement where they would have joint custody of the pets, and the pets come and visit just like the children do. And they rotate between houses, and it works for them. People have just become so creative with the with that transition, and so many things that when I hear it the first time, I think, I'm not sure how well that's going to go. But then I follow up a couple years later and find that it really did go very well. One thing, for instance, is having two family homes where the children will go week to week. So full week with mom, full week with dad, and both parents agree that they're going to, manage these homes separately or together rather. So two separate homes, but manage them as one.
Oh.
And so Yes,
Interesting.
yes. So it's interesting. Like I said, they've gotten creative with these things, but it does work. So they have mom week, they have dad week, and of course mom's home and dad's home, and then they also have time where they come together as a family still, and that's working for them right now because there's no other
Party involved.
relationship
Yeah.
involved.
No girlfriends, no boyfriends.
But
Yeah.
exactly. But as they start to and this is a couple years in, so maybe they don't. But right now, no one else involved. But as other people start to come into that equation, I imagine it may change just a little bit.
I would
But
think
it's
so.
working right now, and that's what's important. It's just maintaining as much stability as you can for the children. I feel like is most people's number one priority.
Absolutely, absolutely, especially when the children are involved. So let's talk about the Divorce CPO program a little bit. So this is where, I mean, there is all kinds of things around the program that we do. For example, all of our agents, we've got about 600 agents now running this around the country. Each agent has a divorce directory, all the useful names of local divorce attorneys, therapists, other kind of attorney, estate sale vendors, movers, mediators, all those people you need when you're starting out on that divorce path. Are we going to get divorced? How many states do you know, Christina, in the country have it in place where you have to be separated for a year before you get a divorce? I think it's about 4 different states. Certainly North Carolina is one.
I don't think it's as common. There are, I've certainly heard people through our program talk about that, but Georgia is not one of those. So for Georgia, you can decide today and start the process tomorrow. But I think it's probably pretty smart to at least give yourself some time to think and pray and breathe on that versus just jumping right in.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we see a lot of people do.
Yeah, really. And sometimes they've been married 6 weeks, and sometimes they got married after meeting each other for 6 weeks.
That's right. Yeah, we
Those
see
ones,
a lot of that too.
Yeah, those ones probably have a little bit less chance. Who knows? So we have a whole directory. We help with the repairs. All homes need some kind of repairs. Or, I think part of this, Christina, is that when you're going through the misery that leads up to a divorce, generally, it doesn't normally happen overnight. It's usually a year, 2 years, even longer leading up to it. The home isn't necessarily well maintained. Everything in your life starts to roll down a little bit. And maybe one of the parties is spending more time outside the house. So we know from going to list homes that once they go under contract, you've got 40 plus items that come back after the inspection is done. So that's perfectly normal. The difference with the Divorce CPO program is that our investor will come in, do the inspection, do the appraisal, purchase the home. You get up to 75% in stage 1, and they will fix everything. They will front the money to fix everything and maybe fluff it up a little bit, put some new countertops on if it's needed, or paint the cabinets, or even a new roof, or a new septic in some places. We're working on a new septic on one of them right now. So it takes some of that stress away, particularly if one party is still in the home. And what we're finding is, and they've been doing this, the investor has been doing it since 2017, 2/3 of the people get up to 120% of what they would have listed it at without the showings or the hassle. They're not doing any showings. They're just coming to us. So you can go to divorcecpo.com and request your cash offer and have a full price, full market value cash offer in 24 hours. And that doesn't matter if you're listed or if you're thinking about listing or you're for sale by owner or maybe your property's expired. They will buy your property. They'll do the inspection and the appraisal. They will put the things right that maybe you don't have the money for. Where are you seeing this as a really valuable tool for you to use, Christina?
Well, it's huge, just in the fact that, like we talked about, there's so many aspects of this, and there's so many emotions. And yes, like you mentioned, oftentimes the home has been neglected for a period of time, and neither one of them want to take the responsibility on. They both want to divert it to the other or just ignore it altogether, which, of course, is going to have a negative impact on their value. So being able to offer the option of having the investor come in, take care of anything that needs to be done within the home, because there's nothing too small and there's nothing too big. They're willing to do anything that needs to be done. And then most importantly, the family being able to benefit from, in a lot of cases, as you said, more than market value, just because of the fact that we're able to put it back on the market like a shiny new penny that everyone's attracted to, and we are getting multiple offers and the opportunity for them to make even more. And of course, just to be able to start their new lives over with what is, in most cases, their largest investment.
Absolutely. And it doesn't, it's not always you're going to get more money than you would with a traditional listing. And frankly, we don't even know that because you didn't have a traditional listing. However, we do know what we put it on the market at. And as we're in a shifting market now and things are flattening out, people are taking less than 100%, and multiple offers have become much less common. So, it's everything. What we're seeing is 90% to 120. So 2/3 of people are getting more than that listing. But it's so much more than that. When you think of everything that goes on when you list a house, of course, we'll do that traditional listing as well. But now you're in a stressful situation where perhaps mom and the kids are still in the house and dad's already moved out. And now you're having showings. And, even for somebody who's single having showings, it's not. When was the last time you sold a house, Christina? Have you been through this recently?
It's been about 6 years ago. And yes, I believe that we in real estate should sell a home at least every 5 to 10 years. We need to go through that process to really appreciate what our clients go through, right? Because you really don't think about it until you're in the midst of it. But you're absolutely right, especially if only one of them is left in the home and they are to manage the showings and the repairs and the maintenance and everything that goes with it. Just the showings alone, managing the children and the pets and all the things to make it where it is going to show in its best light. But it's definitely advantageous, to be able to have this, at least to have the option. Not everyone feels like it's the best option for them, but at least to know that the option is there and available because they didn't before, and outside of the CPO program, then we too weren't able to offer that to our clients. But now that we are, it definitely helps to at least give them the option of knowing that there's a painless route to take. And as you said, we never know what that back end value is going to be. But in most cases, we are finding that it could potentially be more than the front end simply because of the condition, the condition on the front versus the condition after renovations or after the maintenance items have been addressed.
Absolutely. And I did go through it about 6 months ago, and it was just miserable. So we have 2 big dogs and a little dog.
Not fun.
And Randy would take them out, put them in the truck, drive around. It feels like a meet the parents 4 or something. And you're scrambling around, getting up the dog hair. You never know when that, it's supposed to be a 2-hour notice, but you know how often that isn't given. So you running around, mopping the floors, trying to get the dog smell out. Oh gosh, there's some dishes in the sink. Maybe everybody else lives in a show-ready home, but I'm afraid I don't. There's sometimes dishes in the sink. Most people don't, let's be honest. It's very stressful.
That's right. We live there, right?
Yes.
Yep. Especially with children.
Yes.
And with pets, because neither of them care about our situation when we're trying to sell a home.
Yeah.
Neither of them are motivated like we are to make sure that it looks as good as possible, that it smells as good as possible, that it gives that presentation that we know is so important.
And then it's embarrassing, it's, oh my gosh, they'll see amount of sellers that I speak to that say, I need to clean out the closets first. I don't want people looking in my closets. I'm like, it's a closet. It's really fine. They can imagine themselves in that closet. You don't have to worry about that bit.
But they do. They do. They worry about every aspect of it.
Yes.
And rightly so. I mean, you can certainly understand because it's a vulnerable position to put yourself in, to have, ultimately, whether it be strangers or even someone that you know. And in today's age of social media, it seems like we know everyone, even though we don't know them at all, right?
Yes.
But when they feel like, they're just so exposed, it can be stressful for sure.
Well, I think it's even more weird when it's somebody you know, quite honestly, especially if it's one of your neighbours.
Absolutely.
Like, you always think
Yeah.
they're going to be, well, she doesn't keep house very well. That's not fun at all. And then you think about all of the areas of this. So, you sit down with a divorce attorney or a mediator, and then they have to structure the buyout most likely, because often one spouse sells to the other spouse, and then that has to go through their CPA or the divorce attorney, and then maybe it's a lump sum, or maybe it's trading another asset. Maybe they've got some value. I just spoke to somebody who had some valuable paintings that she actually traded for the house. And then, which party brings money to the table? What happens if the home has negative equity? Where the mortgage is greater than the value of the home. I think we're going to see this in the next 2 to 3 years, as a lot of people a couple of years ago bought homes that were overpriced. I mean, I think up until most markets in the country crested at fourth quarter last year, just before Christmas. So the years running up to that, the couple of years at least running up to that, a lot of people were paying over list price. I mean, did you see that in your market, Christina? Over and over again, people were paying over list?
Oh, absolutely. And depending on the area and the number of options available in those areas, they still are in our market. If it's an area where we don't have any other options and it's a beautiful home, and they're still paying more than market value.
And so,
yes, it's going to take a while for us to recover from that.
Yes, absolutely. The very fact that we don't have inventory and don't have homes out there. And, sometimes people will say, well, I don't need to do the cashcpo.com. I don't need to get the cash offer and then get the waterfall at the end, because I'm going to get over list value anyway. Well, the difference there is that if you've got 3 homes that, in a hot area where people are looking, they'll go for yours first, because any buyer's agent and a buyer would want to put a certified pre-owned home above a home that isn't. Nobody's got time to waste. So when you're putting an offer in on a home that's been certified pre-owned, whatever program you're using, the certified pre-owned, that's when you do the inspection, the appraisal, and maybe offer a home warranty. That's going to be a more attractive home.
Absolutely.
Whether or not you're going to get over
oftentimes we're
price. Sorry, go ahead.
No, absolutely, you're right. And oftentimes we're able to avoid the due diligence period. Even in our state, we have a due diligence period so that the buyer could retract that offer and terminate at any time for any reason. And not at all uncommon for us to negotiate, up to 14 days with that prior to the shift in the market. And now we can eliminate that altogether by offering the CPO, where we've got the inspections, we've got everything addressed, we've got the home warranty, in a lot of cases we've got the appraisal or at least a market analysis to be able to support the value very clearly. So it helps the seller as well as the buyer. It gives both peace of mind.
It really does. And this all happens very quickly, is the great news. We've got 4 of them going on right now. So, and it's quite, it's new for us as well. It's quite a scramble in the beginning. However, as I've been explaining to listing agents, the normal process is you compete for the listing. You're all excited because you get the listing, and you help them prep the home. The listing goes on. And if it's an average listing at this point, whatever that means, but it will take at least 30 days to get it under contract. So here we are on day 35 at this point. And we now have it under contract, and in 10 days' time, the inspections are done. So now we're at 45 days, and now the renegotiations begin, because a lot of these buyers are coming in from out of state. They're moving to your area. In our case, that's about 70% of the buyers that are moving in from a different area. And now they get this inspection report that shows 40 items, and it's like, and they either ask for $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, or they back out. And contracts fall apart a third of the time, just over a third of the time. When they're certified pre-owned, it's more like 7% of the time. We can't make it go away, because buyers do silly things sometimes, like buy a car or something to hurt their credit beforehand. But it drops it dramatically, because your house is so much more appealing when the things have been fixed and everything else is in place. So to get this to happen quickly, if you go through the cash CPO, what happens is you get a full market value offer. You may or may not get that from the traditional old-fashioned listing that's taken longer already. You go on day one, the inspection and the appraisal you get back by day 10. It compresses the whole timeline. And then we all have a discussion about what's come up on the inspection report and the appraisal. They are not trying to buy your house cheap. Everyone's aligned. They're making a percentage of the amount that you sell your house for. They make more money, you make more money. So everyone's aligned. They're not trying to buy it cheap or get you to do lots of fixes. However, the things that are fixed, you've already got your money out. You've made a non-contingent offer. We haven't even talked about that, Christina. A non-contingent offer on your new home. And now we have a discussion about the things that need to be fixed with your expert agent that's on the ground there with you, that understands the market and knows what you need to fix, with their account manager that manages the project of all of this, and of course the appraiser and anybody else who's involved, obviously the sellers, to say, well, what do we want to do out of this? And we were going to put new countertops in, but you know what? Yours are perfectly fine, so we'll pull back on that. So you make more money out of the profit. Or what do we have to do? The sellers are still involved at that point and still in control, should I say.
Sure.
So, there's a lot to go on here. So imagine, again, you're the sellers who are divorcing, and now you're discussing, one parent is in the home, so there might be some sadness around that itself. You're in a home with all the memories. However, the other parent is out probably renting an apartment at this point. So that doesn't feel very good at all, especially if you're in one of the states where you have to be apart for a year before you can get a divorce. And, in this day and age of things being very expensive and rents going up and everything costs more now. Gas is at, I think, a 15-year high. Now you've got the cost of the apartment on top of it as well. And I've experienced, I don't know if you have, Christina, the person who's in the house sort of wants to stay in the house as long as possible. And they want to do 24-hour showing notices and or notifications because they really want to stay in the home, and they're not really being very helpful about it showing. Have you seen that?
We do. We see that very often, and not at all uncommon for one party to not be as motivated as the other, and not be as concerned about the outcome. And yes, usually it's the one who is staying in the home. But as you mentioned, there's so much more financial strain and pressure that comes when there are two households to maintain and to manage now. So yeah, it's unfortunately, yes, there are definitely those situations where they're not as easy to accommodate. They don't really care about the showings or the way that it shows.
Yes.
Not only not getting people in, but just not having it prepared for when they do.
Yes. And it
has a negative impact for sure.
Yeah, because if, especially if you're a home that's a little bit further out and maybe a little bit more expensive, you're not getting that many showings now anyway. Gone are the days of, last year and the last few years where you'd get one showing after another and you didn't have to be too concerned. Now your showings are much more rare. So if you've got somebody in the house that is, not really accommodating those showings and saying something like, come back tomorrow, then that's obviously not very helpful. With the divorcecpo.com, what's happening there is we're coming in, bringing you a cash offer within 24 hours. You can close as fast as 12 days at the first stage and get up to 75% of your value. But it's not like your grandparents' cash offer where these, buy ugly houses or the letters you get through the mail where you're only going to get 70% if you're lucky. And often realtors have buyout programs where you get 65, 70%. This is not that. They go in, they repair what needs repairing. They, they do some remodeling, whether it's paint the walls, take the wallpaper down, put some new hardware on the cabinets, maybe switch out some things in the bathroom. Maybe we've got one right now with buckled floors, laminate buckled floors. They'll go in and put a whole new floor in and take the stinky carpet up, They'll do a lot of work to it. That's all done, and then it's freshened up and put back on the market. But you've already got, if it's a major remodel, it's 50% up front. If it's a minor, it's 60. If it's Not if it's medium, it's 60. If it's minor, it's 70 to 75 upfront. And then you get the majority of the profit when we resell it, and it's all shiny and new. Everything's been fixed. It's going to compete much, much better against those other houses. So it takes that out of it. Another thing with the mediator is you're going to be discussing or arguing about how repairs are taken care of, how it's handled, quotes, preferred vendors. This does it for you. They have project managers that take care of all that. Because again, this is where it's like, I think we need to do the roof. No, I don't think we need to do the roof. Well, I do think we need to do the roof. No, I don't think we need to do the roof. Or whatever it is, we need to replace the carpet. Well, I haven't got any money to replace the carpet. And then having to meet with all the vendors coming in and, how much will it be for the carpet? And then arguing about how much the carpet is going to be to replace. It's just not fun. That all goes away with this. Because you have the project managers.
Or the fact that one's been begging to replace that carpet for years, and it wasn't anything that was a priority. But now all of a sudden it becomes a priority when you start to sell. And then, of course, that creates even more of a contention.
Yes, and sometimes those things can be what causes the divorce. In fact, you're triggering a memory here as I've seen that, where the wife was so fed up because they had a roof leak and it wasn't fixed. There were, it was just he'd done some handyman stuff to paint over it on the ceiling and it was still leaking and causing problems. And it was a bit of a hoarder situation. So there was so much stuff in there and sheds outside that were all falling apart. And she just got tired of living in it because she felt like it wasn't even the house not being a priority. She felt like he wasn't making her a priority, and that was showing up in all this mess that they were living in, and really unsafe conditions that they were living in with all the mold and everything that was coming along. So I think that can be a really big factor. You're right. And then, when you're trying to manage it yourself instead of using something like the Divorce CPO program, and you can see more about this, by the way, at divorcecpo.com. I'm talking to Christina McIntosh today from sunny Savannah, even though she's not there right now. She's having a little vacation. And I'm Rowena Patton in Asheville, North Carolina. We're talking about divorce, everything you go through, and our program. We have 600 agents who are experts in this program. There's divorcecpo.com. And of course, if you're selling for any other reason as well, it's all powered by Cash CPO. You can go to cashcpo.com and request your full market value cash offer, and we'll have it to you within 24 hours. Maybe it's a holiday, so how about give us a couple of days because it's Labor Day weekend, but we'll have it to you right away. Whatever your reason for moving, if you're thinking about selling or you've got your house on the market, we make these offers to on-market houses as well. So if you're thinking about selling, you don't want to go through the showings and taking the pets out or anything else. And of course, if you're thinking about getting divorced and how it works, get a cash offer. Maybe I think sometimes it's like having another baby. It's like, oh, let's get a new house and see if it works. Paying the mortgage. You've got to go through paying the mortgage. With this, the mortgage is paid off and is as little as 12 days. So you don't have that pain anymore. So obviously this works, and we're seeing more and more of this, Christina, where people are facing pre-foreclosure now because they're late on their payment or they're struggling to pay their payment. This pays it off in 12 days. So I think that's a major benefit of this for anybody that's struggling to pay their mortgage. Have you noticed in your area how things are going up, Christina?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, how can you not?
Yeah, really.
It's everywhere. Everywhere we go, you're it's right in your face, and it is a constant. There was something the other day, I can't even remember what it was, but it was literally like, this used to be $30 and now it's $50.
Yeah.
Like, how did it go from 30 to 50 in just such a short period of time? Not even a slight increase, but significant, almost double. It's just, it's everywhere.
Well, like you said earlier, I think some of that is the COVID effect as well, because it was always a case of, well, we can't get the materials and we can't get this. And you noticed the prices never really went down,
That's right.
So
and we keep paying them because we have to, and they know it. And
what's the
so
choice?
We'll continue.
Yeah, what's the choice? So we've also got the risk incurred on the mortgage, other home-related expenses. So, North Carolina, for example,
also gone up significantly.
Yes.
Repair expenses.
Yes. Well,
a
and
significant increase, not only with materials, but with labor as well.
yes.
And there are just so few laborers anymore, even. I don't know if you're experiencing that in your market, but
Oh, yes.
it's hard. It's hard to get someone who wants to do the work, especially small jobs. And then the ones that are larger jobs, in most cases, we have to have a contractor to come in for those things.
Mm-hmm.
And contractors, too, are very busy, and their prices have gone up as well. So, like you said, it's really, it's a blessing in a lot of cases for folks that are in this position to be able to, again, have that option, to have
Yes.
a solution that is provided to them where they could literally have everything taken care of for them and walk away.
Yes.
And as you said, as little as 12 days.
Well, then they're not arguing about who's who pays the bills. How do you figure all that out? I guess you sit down with the mediator, and even especially in states like North Carolina where you have to be separated for a year before you can even file for divorce. So even when you've agreed that, this spouse pays this and the other spouse pays this, then you know that there's going to be a renegotiation in that over time because it just doesn't feel fair. And then there's all these bills. Often when you're going into a divorce, one of the key triggers is the financial aspects of your marriage and your family and everything that's been going on. Maybe, oh gosh, here's a big one. Maybe you didn't know that your spouse had run up a credit card bill.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that a few times. I've known friends where that happened, and actually it caused a divorce. One of the spouses ran up a bill of something like $120,000, and the other spouse didn't know about it, and the other spouse is still paying this off 4 years later.
They're still responsible. That's right.
Yeah, so it's all those trust issues, and then I don't know about you, Christina, but what about you, Randy? Do you find in fact, there's companies out there that have apps now for this. Things that you're paying for that you didn't even know you were paying for that are on, they authorize, they pull it out every month and you don't even know what's on there.
Yeah. I make myself calendar notes when I sign up for one of these free 30-day trials.
Oh.
I go 30 days ahead and make myself a note on the calendar to review or cancel or whatever in 29 days.
That's a good idea.
Well,
I do the same thing, Randy.
Yeah.
Have you been caught with that yet?
Oh, yeah, I mess up a few times, but I get an A for effort, right?
I love that. Then you've got to remember to look at
right.
your calendar.
Yeah.
Well, that's where you get caught. So I do the same thing that Randy did, but I've gotten caught a couple times. And so now, Randy, I'm starting to set myself an alert on those reminders.
Exactly.
So at least I've got a couple of times to miss it, but I'm not missing it as often.
Yeah.
We're obviously signing up for too many things, Randy. That's just the problem. We're signing up for too many trials.
Taking that free 30-day trial too much. Yeah, if you set the alert, then it comes to your watch. It comes to my Apple Watch. And that's a reminder. Oh, I got to do that.
I love it.
Yeah.
And as real estate agents, it's particularly bad because we see these shiny new objects that offer to help us market our properties or whatever it is. And we're always doing it, Randy. We're really bad about it. So imagine being that spouse that's in the house and taking care of all the things. And then these things keep popping up, those recurring bills that you haven't even thought of. So you've got it all agreed now. And what they suggest is putting it all on a spreadsheet. But then other things keep popping up. And you don't want to speak to your spouse anymore, really. Less contact is better. And now you got to call them and go, oh, wait, there's more. It's just not fun. As much of the fun that we can take out of this, I guess, even if we've paid off the house, at least it brings a little more money around and the opportunity for everybody to move on. Not that it takes the pain away, but, that financial hardship is real pain. It's the second most common reason why people get divorced. And divorce is only second to death of a spouse on the stress scale, which, no surprise there. Ugh. So, yeah, it's looking at the motivation, everything that they go through, lifestyle changes. Let's talk about that for a minute. How does your lifestyle change when you go through a divorce?
Big time. Yeah.
Significantly, yeah, absolutely.
Especially if you've been together for a long time.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing is if you've got kids, it may be even less because you've still got the routine of the kids.
Right.
If you're single and you get divorced, or the kids are older and more independent and doing their own thing, maybe they've got a car at this point or something like that, or they're away at college, that's a major life change, because suddenly you're on your own. You did have your spouse coming home every day, well, in most cases, and that whole routine is gone. Suddenly you're thinking,
Yep.
I'm dating again. I don't want to date. I'm tired of this. I'm done forever, depending on what age you're at. I know I've been there. I said that at one point.
Oh, yeah.
I'm done. I'm done with men.
I say it every day.
You say I'm done with men every day, Randy?
Yes, I do. By choice.
Yeah, really. Animals are way easier, aren't they?
They are.
Dogs are the best. Dogs are the best.
You come home, you got that little wagging doggy that's like,
Welcome.
oh my
yeah.
gosh. I felt so bad this morning. I was driving out and Sophie was out on the porch eating her breakfast. We have to feed her separately because the two big dogs would just scarf her food. So she's out on the porch and I'm driving out and she comes running after me. It was so sad. Down the driveway, and then she just sat on the step.
And she didn't tell you she needed anything or she needed money before you left or don't forget to pick her up from school today.
No.
She didn't tell you any of that, did she? She
No.
just loved you unconditionally, wanting nothing in return.
Yeah, wonder why people have dogs. It's amazing. So anything else we've missed, do you think, Christina? And how do they get hold of you? They can go to divorcecpo.com. All of your details come in and get passed on right away to Christina. Whether you're going through a divorce or maybe you're thinking about going into assisted living. So Christina's also certified in the assisted living CPO. When you're going into assisted living, you usually get 30 days to be able to sell your home. This is perfect for this. Have you ever dealt with people going into assisted living, Christina?
Yes, we have two that are working through that process right now, as a matter of fact. And, the CPO option, again, is huge for them. So assisted living, divorce, estate, foreclosure, relocation, retirement, all of those things.
Yes.
CPO can be a great option for those scenarios. So we'd love to talk to you more about that. As Rowena said, cpoexperts.com. And you'll be routed to us with our contact information in the Savannah area. But we've got professionals all over the country that Rowena keeps up with and takes care of on a daily basis. And we certainly appreciate you, Rowena,
Well,
for
thank
everything that
you.
you do.
Thank you.
for
I
our
try
community
to.
as well.
Well, we're really
You're
trying to
wonderful.
help people, and that's why we've built all these programs at cpoexperts.com. There's all the buttons across the top, and you can look at for sale by owner, for example. And we talk at length with the whole team of agents doing this. We've got over 600 at this point running these programs around the country. They're all powered by Cash CPO, where you get your money as quick as 12 days. You can stay in the home for up to 4 months if you want to. Your home's freshened up, you get your money right away. And whether that is because, why wouldn't you look at this? I think, honestly, there is nothing like this out there on the market. We've got the whole comparison chart we'd be happy to share with you. There are other companies that offer cash offers. You've probably all heard of iBuyers and people coming in and offering money. But there's no one where you get 90 to 120% of the value of your home. And as we're in this shifting market right now, that is so important because you want your home to compete. Most homes, people are thinking, we have someone here right now that just put an offer in on a home that hasn't yet listed their home in another state because they're saying, oh, no worries, it'll sell, but they haven't even listed it. And Christina, it's not our client, it is my listing. I'm going to go to that person, I think it's in Idaho, and ask them if they want a cash CPO offer, because that would get them out in 12 days, and then they wouldn't have to worry about it. And their agent can, relist it there and get the rest of the money for them. But she can move here and not have that 60-day close. And at this time in the market, we're in September already. Why would I take this? Why would I advise my seller to take the home off the market for 60 days for them to close? Because it's contingent on this other sale. And what happens if it doesn't sell? It doesn't make sense, does it?
No, not at all. Especially the fact that it's in a market that you know nothing about, and we're in we're still in those unprecedented times of uncertainty. You know, and you're probably like me. We wake up every day going, okay, is today going to be another shift? Is today going to be something different? Are we going to start to see increase in inventory, you know, even further increase in inventory? What are the values going to be like? It's just, we don't know. We don't know from one day to the next. And there's so many factors that come into play with that. So, yeah, taking a contingency on any level is a risk, but especially an area that you don't know anything about. But if you are able to offer that to them and they decide to take you up on that, then, of course, you're going to feel a lot more confident in presenting their offer to your seller as one that is one that they should move forward with versus one that they should be nervous about.
Yeah, you know, I really think that all of us, and we'll talk about this at our call on Tuesday, should really think about those contingent offers that are coming in, because we can talk to I mean, in this case, it's not even listed. They always say, oh, well, I'm in a really hot area because they're remembering last year and my house will sell on day one. But we don't know that. And quite frankly, they don't know what that either. But I think all of us as agents should be going to that, you know, going to that person that's made the offer and say, you know, will you consider a cash offer? There's no reason not to. They could get up to 120%. Yes, they might get 90%, but they might be taking that anyway with a traditional offer. They won't have to do any showings and they'll get their money in 12 days, you know, and they can stay in the house for a few days if they want to, especially as in this case, the house is vacant. She could move right now. How cool would that be?
Yeah.
Move the furniture, you know, get in, not have that. The offer doesn't even have the contingency on it, but you know the contingency is there, and she'll pull out if a home doesn't get sold. So, you know, why would I advise my seller to look at that? So even if we don't have a cash CPO, cashcpo.com is where you go to find out more about this and how it all works. There's buttons at the top: retirement, relocation, foreclosure, for sale by owner, divorce. I sound like one of those what do you call it? Estate sales now. Estates, divorce, cash CPO, assisted living. All the buttons are across the top with the programs that we run for them. Go take a look, see what it's like, and, you know, see if any of those appeal to you. And certainly if you're thinking about making a contingent offer, we most likely have an agent there. If we don't, we'll talk to your agent and guide them through it, because it makes so much sense wherever we're at. If we've got a client that you know, I mean, they wouldn't be listed if they didn't want to sell the house. They're not just dipping their toe in the water at this point. Then we'll help your agent there with a cash CPO offer so you can move on more quickly. And yes, the inspection and appraisal is done, but it's going to be done anyway. And it's usually going to be done 4 weeks into your deal, which is not fun. Now you got to wait 4 weeks. Now the inspection comes back. The buyers are emotional. Our investor buyer is not emotional. You know, it's all just numbers, and we have a much more fair and easy conversation. Okay, Christina, we've got like 6 minutes left. What have we missed?
We've covered a lot. I really feel like we've covered it all, Rowena. I think the value has definitely been discussed, and like you said, it's at least having that option, the opportunity there, just making people aware that it is available to them, and knowing that it's an option that could be a best fit for them.
Yeah, there's no obligation. We'll bring you an offer, cashcpo.com. Or you can go, if you're particularly thinking about the divorce one, divorcecpo.com. You can find them all on the same site. So just a quick rerun through the key benefits. You avoid the hassle of a traditional home sale process. No showings, living through the home prep, or flaky buyers. You don't have to worry about the pets or the family. You get to move on now and make offers on homes. That's what we were just talking about. That are not contingent on your home sale. Non-contingent offers are much more desirable to sellers. Cash CPO properties sell twice as fast and for 11% more on average than the broader market. Why? Because they're all shiny new and they're lovely. And you get the 90 to 120% of what you would have listed it for. You don't generally in this market get 100% of what you listed it for anyway. You get to unlock your equity at the first closing in as little as 12 days, and then profit share in the second closing. Total payout, as we just said, 90 to 120% of what you would have got listed in the old-fashioned way without all that hassle. And your home is so much more desirable with fresh paint, a deep clean. It could be that little. A new roof, landscaping, whatever it takes that our team of professionals take care of. And it will most likely sell faster and for a higher price without all that hassle. I mean, honestly, why wouldn't anybody take this, or at least get to look at it and see whether they want to take it or not, Christina? Why wouldn't you have this as an option?
Yeah, it never hurts, like you said, to at least explore it as an option. And in most cases, people are going to see the benefits, especially in a divorce situation where they can just move forward, where they can cash out of their, in most cases, their largest equity or their largest investment, get the equity out of that, move forward into their next chapter of their lives, not having to deal with negotiations, not having to deal with showings, not having to deal with repairs, not even having to deal with the stress that goes with coordinating around a closing. You know, like you said, it happens so quickly and gives them the opportunity to move forward without all of the stress that comes with the added days, the uncertainty of the number of days that it's going to take from start to finish. So definitely something worth exploring, and in most cases able to find out that this really is the best option for them.
Yeah, let's take a look in. Gosh, we've got 2 minutes. It's been so great talking to you, and thank you again for stepping out of your vacation to talk us through this. And Cash CPO, the Cash CPO program may be new to a lot of the people who are doing it with us, but these are all top 1% agents. Christina's the number one in the Savannah market. This isn't just somebody that's paying to be part of a program or get an endorsement or something. She's the number one agent, and she does this because she thinks it's the right way to do a home sale. And we've been doing certified pre-owned homes since 2006. That's a long time, by the way. Cash CPO is the evolution of a certified pre-owned home. It's like a reverse CPO. So you're getting that inspection, you're getting the appraisal, and then you're relisting it as a certified pre-owned home, which is just a better way to do it. Homes drop out 32% of the time. The CPO home drops out 7% of the time. It's not fun when it drops out. We haven't even talked about stigmatized listings. When that deal drops out in a traditional listing over a third of the time, everybody and their dog calls us saying, well, you know, our buyer was interested, but they saw it dropped out. What's wrong with it? Which stigmatizes your home, and you usually get less for it at that point. So we use Zoomcast. They've been doing this since 2017. It is not new to them. They bought 1,000 homes last year, and they've never not sold a home. It's just a better way to market and sell homes. CashCPO.com. Christina, thank you so much for being on. That was absolutely awesome.
Thank you for having me.
I love to hear what goes on in different markets, and then we find out it's pretty much the same that goes on here. I'm Rowena Patton in Asheville, North Carolina. It's been Christina McIntosh from sunny Savannah, and we've really appreciated you listening to us today. And if you're listening to the podcast, you can still get hold of us. Randy, that was awesome. Thank you for supporting us today.
My pleasure. Christina, did Savannah make it through Idalia okay?
We did. Very blessed, as we often are. We're just kind of tucked away in that little inlet there, and things kind of push over. In this case, it blew straight over. But we were very fortunate. Just Fantastic. A lot of cleanup to do.
Thank you, darling. You have a fantastic vacation. I'll see you all on the radio next week.
This has been the Plain English Real Estate Show with Rowena Patton. Visit Rowena and post your questions at radioasheville.com or call her at 828-210-1648.
Don't let real estate